Hello everyone, a very good morning to all. Hope you're all safe and healthy. Good. Let me introduce myself first. This is Rajani, a teacher of English working at JP High School, Sativada of Nelimalla Mandal. Firstly, a great welcome to all for this Vijayanagaram online schooling. Now, let me remind you of our last class about the lesson, the turning point from Blossom 7, second unit of our English reader. We discussed how some events bring remarkable change in the life of an individual and how such incidents become turning points in their life. Right? Dear students, I asked you 2 questions in the earlier session. Have you remembered them? Now, let us have a look at these questions. First question, who is your favorite teacher? What do you like about him or her? Which topic fascinated you the most in his or her class? This is the second question. Hope you have thought about your favorite teachers. Definitely, you have a favorite teacher, and I too have my favorite teacher. Everyone has favorite teacher. They become our favorite teachers because they inspire us, they guide us, and shape our future. They not only teach us, but also bring a change in our thought process, in our behavior, in our decision making, in setting goals, whatnot, everything. At one point, we get experienced with some events and a remarkable change takes place, making a turning point in our lives. Thus, they become special in our heart. They become special in our life. They become special in every walk and talk of our lives. What do you say? Okay, now, dear children, in the last session, we have learned that the fortunate thing in the life of Abdul Kalam was to have great teachers in his village. Right? Now, in this session, we are going to know how the teacher realized Abdul Kalam dreams, who brought reality to his curiosity. And another important striking point in this content is the nature. The nature is always better than the 4 walls of the classroom. The teacher once taught the class on the blackboard, but the students did not understand it. The real teacher, the true teacher, and the best teacher, Sri Shivasubramaniam Iyer, understood his students' difficulty and took them to the reality. This teacher, Shivasubramaniam Iyer, took all the students to Rameshwaram seashore and gave a natural opportunity to all the students, especially here to Abdul Kalam, to observe how a bird flies. The way in which the bird is flying in the sky, the way in which Abdul Kalam looked into those birds flying, turned his life, as I have told you earlier, A paper boy became the pride of India. A school boy became the scientist. A cycle boy became the space technologist. A normal boy became an aeronautical engineer. This special boy has flown into the sky very high. And coming to his teacher, Shivasubramaniam Iyer, who played a great role in shaping Abdul Kalam into a great personality, the pride of our country. Shivasubramaniam Iyer inspired Kalam in such a manner that Kalam wrote a book keeping his teacher as the hero of that book. And this lesson, The Turning Point, is an extract from that book, My Teachers, written by Abdul Kalam. That was the impression made by Shivasubramaniam Iyer in the mind of Kalam. So, a teacher can initiate a mind of a student, and the student can be ignited with such motivational turning incidents. Thus, whenever or wherever there was a chance to recollect about a teacher, Abdul Kalam recollects the name of his teacher Shivasubramaniam Iyer. That was the huge respect Kalam had for his teacher and for all teachers. Now, let us have a look at the paragraph given on page 20 of your text. I will read it slowly. Pay attention and listen to it very carefully. My curiosity grew in science because of a very special teacher when I was a 10-year-old boy in class 5th. This was indeed a life-changing event. My science teacher's name was Shri Shivasubramaniam Iyer. One day, the topic of discussion in our class of 65 was how birds fly. He drew a sketch of a bird with a tail, wings and feathers and a head on the board and explained how a bird flew. He explained how a bird could lift itself, fly and change direction by using its wings and the tail. He asked us whether we understood. We gave a gloomy reply, no. Mr. Iyer did not get upset. So, dear students, this is about the paragraph given on page 20. Here you could see hard words like curiosity, topic, gloomy, upset, which are red in color in this paragraph. Let us know the meanings of these hard words. Curiosity, a desire to know, తెలుసుకోవాలనే తపన. Life-changing event, as you know, turning point, మలుపు తిరిగిన సంఘటన. Explained, tell in detail, వివరంగా చెప్పడం. Topic, matter, విషయం. Direction, take a move to the other side, ఒక కదలిక, అటు రైట్ సైడ్ కానీ లెఫ్ట్ సైడ్ కానీ ఎనీ సైడ్, గివింగ్ ఏ మూమెంట్. గ్లూమీ, డిమ్, cheerless, ఇక్కడ అర్థం కానట్టుగా డల్గా మొహాలు పెట్టారు. టీచర్ క్లాస్ చెప్పినప్పుడు అర్థమైందా అంటే అర్థం కాలేదు టీచర్ అని డల్గా చెప్పారు. అప్సెట్, unhappy. My curiosity grew in science because of a very special teacher. When I was 10-year-old boy in class 5th. So when Abdul Kalam was in 5th class, he was 10 years old. He had a great interest in science. And he got that interest because of his teacher who was very special. This was indeed a life-changing event. This was the turning point in Abdul Kalam's life. The entry of his science teacher into his life when Kalam was studying 5th class was the turning point in his life. My science teacher's name was Sri Shiva Subramaniam Iyer. What is the name of his teacher? Shiva Subramaniam Iyer. And how this happened? One day, the topic of discussion in our class of 65 was how birds fly. One day, the teacher Shiva Subramaniam Iyer discussed about a topic, about a subject, about a content for his class of 65. The strength of the class is 65 in number. He discussed the topic, how birds fly. What was the topic? How birds fly. For that, to explain that, he drew a sketch of a bird with a tail, wings and feathers and a head on the board and explained how a bird flew. So drawing all the parts of the bird like tail, wings, feathers and head, Abdul Kalam explained how these birds fly. He explained how a bird could lift itself, fly and change direction by using its wings and the tail. He also explained how a bird can lift its body and fly and change direction with the help of its wings and the tail. So by drawing the parts of the body and the picture of a bird, Shiva Subramaniam tried to explain the students how a bird can fly, how a bird can lift its body, and how a bird fly and change direction with the help of its wings and the tail. He asked us whether we understood. So after drawing and giving explanation, the teacher asked the students whether they understood how birds fly. We gave a gloomy reply, no sir, we did not understand. So a dull answer. When we didn't understand anything, we give a dull answer. If the teacher asks, have you understood? No teacher, I did not understand. The same reply the students gave to his teacher. Mr. Iyer did not get upset. So Shiva Subramaniam Iyer did not get disappointed, did not feel unhappy. So this is about the first paragraph of this session. Hope you all understood. And now going into the details of certain vocabulary here, you can see the underlined words like discussion, direction. These words are formed from a certain root word. The root word, the base word of the word discussion is discuss. So from the root word discuss, another form of word is formed. So discuss, discussion. And you can see the other word, direction. It has come from the word direct. Direct, direction. So we can form a certain word formation is formed from the root word. And coming to the words like 10-year-old boy, life-changing event. Have you noticed anything special about these words? Yes. This 10-year-old boy, 10-year-old are combined with a hyphen here. Words are combined using a hyphen and made into a single adjective because it is describing a noun, 10-year-old boy. Then it is called a compound adjective. Compound adjectives can be formed by bringing two or more different words together with a hyphen. For example, here 10-year-old, 3 words are combined as one. Life-changing, 2 words. Life-changing, 2 words are combined as one. Such type of words combined with a hyphen in the middle are called compound adjectives. These are a few details about word formation and compound adjectives. Now, let us have some reading comprehension questions on this passage. In which subject did Kalam show his curiosity? What was the subject Kalam interested in because of a teacher? Yes, science. What was the life-changing event in Abdul Kalam's life? The entry of his teacher when Abdul Kalam was studying 5th class was the life-changing event. Who was the teacher mentioned in the passage? Yes, Shiv Subramaniam Iyer. Which topic did the teacher discuss one day in the class? What was the topic he discussed with the students? Yes, how birds fly. What did the teacher draw on the board? He wanted to explain something, so he drew something on the board. What was it? Yes, it was the picture of a bird. What did the teacher explain to the students? So showing the picture of the bird, what did the teacher explain? The teacher explained how a bird could lift its body and how a bird flies and moves with the help of its wings and tail. Okay, so this is about the first paragraph. Let us have a look at an important paragraph that changed Abdul Kalam to fulfill his dreams come true. Let me read it first. That evening, he took all of us to the seashore. The sunset, waves, cool breeze, and the chirping of birds all together made it a very pleasant atmosphere. He asked all of us to notice how the birds make a formation in a group and fly. He also told us to notice the shape of the formation made by the birds while flew. He drew our attention towards how they flap their wings to fly higher and how they use the tail to propel directions. Mr. Iyer also made us notice how the bird is powered to fly by itself. In 15 minutes, all the students cheerfully shouted, "Yes, sir, we now understand how birds fly on their own." So going into the details, the teacher that evening took all the students to a seashore. First of all, the teacher explained the concept of how birds fly in a classroom. The students did not understand it. So that evening, he took all the students to a seashore. And there at the seashore, the atmosphere is very pleasant with the sunset, waves, cool breeze, means cool air, and the chirping of birds. Chirping. Chirping means the sound made by the birds. We can listen to the chirping of birds in early morning. It looks it gives a happy feel when we listen to the sound made by the birds. So all together, it was a very pleasant atmosphere there at the seashore. Now, the teacher asked all the students to notice certain details when the birds fly in the sky. So what details did the teacher ask the students to observe? He asked the students to notice carefully with attention how birds form in a group and fly, and how the shape of the formation made by the birds while they flew. Look at the picture there. All the birds made a V-shaped formation while flying. And the teacher asked the students to observe clearly how the birds flap to move up and down, how the birds flap their wings to fly higher, and how the birds use the tail to propel directions. So how the birds use their wings to flap, and how the tail is used as a pushing force to move forward and take directions, and it uses its wings to fly higher, and it uses its tail to move forward and make directions. And the teacher also asked to notice how the bird is powered to fly. It has a natural power to fly by itself. So the bird itself makes the organs of its body, the wings, the tail, as a force. That is called flight principle. So the concept of this how birds fly made the students to understand the concept of flight principle. In 15 minutes, in a short time, all the students cheerfully shouted, "Yes, sir, we now understand how birds fly on their own." So when the teacher explained the same concept in the classroom, they were unable to understand. But when the teacher took all the students to reality, so it became easy for the students to understand the concept of flight principle. So this incident, in fact, became the life-changing event in Abdul Kalam's life. So this paragraph is very, very important. Here are the hard words of this paragraph. Chirping, sound made by the birds. పక్షులు చేసే శబ్దాలు. Pleasant, beautiful, ఆహ్లాదకరంగా అందంగా ఉండడం. Notice, observe, గమనించడం. Attention, to deal with care, ఒక దానిపైన శ్రద్ధని చూపించడం. Flap, move up and down, పైకి కిందకి కదల్చడం. Propel, push something forwards, ఏదైనా ముందుకి తోయడం. Powered, move with great speed, కదిలేటప్పుడు వేగంగా కదల్చడం. Cheerfully, సంతోషంగా, హ్యాపీలీ, ఆనందంగా. Now have a look at the reading comprehension questions on this paragraph. Where did the teacher take all his students? The teacher took all his students to the seashore. Why did he take the students to the seashore? He took the students to the seashore to explain how birds fly. How was the atmosphere at the seashore? It was very pleasant. What did the teacher ask the students to observe at the seashore? The teacher asked the students to notice how the birds make a formation in a group and fly. How did the students feel after the teacher's explanation about birds? They were very cheerful. Let us have a look at this paragraph. The flight principle got imprinted in my mind, and I decided that in the future I will study subjects related to flight. However, as a little boy, I needed guidance to pursue this field. I asked my teacher, Mr. Iyer, to guide and tell me how to pursue my interest. He told me to study and explore the field of aviation science and aeroplanes. So, going into the details, the flight principle, the teacher explained the students to observe certain things, how a bird flies. So the details that he observed, how a bird uses its wings, its tail, it uses its wings, it flaps its wings to fly higher, and it uses its tail to propel directions, which acted as a force for the bird to lift its body and fly higher. All these details are related to flight principle. This flight principle got imprinted in the mind of Abdul Kalam, and Kalam decided then, in the future, he should study subjects related to flight. But as a little boy, he needed some guidance to move further. Pursue means to move further and proceed in his studies. So he asked his teacher to guide tell him how to move further in his studies that he is interested in. And the teacher advised Kalam to explore, to search, to read the details and to know the details more about the field of aviation science and aeroplanes, aviation science related to aircrafts, air traffic control, etc. These are a few details about this paragraph. Now here are the hard words of this paragraph. Flight principle, an idea of flying through the air. గాలి ద్వారా పైకి ఎగరడము అనే ఒక ఆలోచనని ఫ్లైట్ ప్రిన్సిపల్ అంటారు. ఇంప్రింటెడ్, మార్క్డ్, మనసులో ఒక ముద్ర ఏర్పడ్డం. గైడెన్స్, డైరెక్షన్, మార్గము చూపించడం. పర్స్యూ, ఫాలో, కొనసాగించడం. ఎక్స్ప్లోర్, సర్చ్, వెతకడం, అన్వేషించడం. నెక్స్ట్ ఏవియేషన్, ద ఫ్లయింగ్ ఆఫ్ క్రాఫ్ట్స్, ద ఫ్లయింగ్ ఆఫ్ ఎయిర్ క్రాఫ్ట్స్, విమానయానం, విమానాలు ఎగరడము, అటువంటి విషయాలు ఎలా ఎగురుతాయి అటువంటి విషయాలు తెలుసుకోవడం. Now let us have a look at the comprehension questions. What was imprinted in the mind of Abdul Kalam? What was imprinted in his mind? The flight principle. What did he decide to study in his future? To study the subjects related to flight. Why did he feel that he needed guidance? Because he was a little boy of class 5th, so he needed someone to guide. Who did he ask for guidance? He asked his teacher Shivasubramaniam Iyer for guidance. How did the teacher guide Kalam? The teacher guided Kalam to explore the subject related to aviation science and aeroplanes. Now here, I would like you to ask two questions. What do you want to become in your life? Have you decided what to become in your life? What do you want? And the second question, how do you feel when you see birds flying in groups? Have you ever noticed birds flying in groups? Then how did you feel? If not, if you have observed, it's quite good. But if you haven't observed, this time when you go out and see a flock of birds flying, you observe how they fly. It's quite interesting. Okay, good. Now coming to the last paragraph at page 21. So this is the paragraph here. I will read it. Whatever I had learned that day changed my life. I was inspired to have an aim. Later, I realized how important it was to study physics. I chose physics. I opted for aeronautical engineering at the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. Then, I became an aeronautical engineer and a space technologist. Mr. Iyer's class had transformed my life, which led me to make a profession out of my passion. Aeronautics, or the science of flight, was special to me. My career began in this field. There were certain interesting things about Abdul Kalam in this paragraph which decided his future. Whatever I had learned that day, so that day mean here, that day when Shivasubramaniam Iyer took all his class students to a seashore. That day, Abdul Kalam was inspired after listening to the concept of how birds fly. He decided, he was inspired to have an aim in his life. And then he understood clearly, he understood clearly that physics was an important subject to study. And he chose physics because he was interested in that. So he felt to fulfill his dreams, he had to choose physics as an important subject. And later he opted aeronautical engineering at IIT Madras. So he studied aeronautical engineering at the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. Then he became an aeronautical engineer and a space technologist. These all things happened because of Shivasubramaniam Iyer, who had transformed, who had greatly changed Abdul Kalam's life and guided him to take a profession out of his passion. He had a strong desire to become a pilot, isn't it? So he took a profession in which he had interest in because of his teacher Shivasubramaniam Iyer's guidance. And aeronautics, also called, it is a science of flight related to flights, aeroplanes, aircrafts, etc. It was something special to Abdul Kalam because he was very much interested to know, he was curious to know about planes, etc. at his childhood itself. So his career, his life, his profession began in this field, in this field of knowing about flights. Okay, now let us go. Here are the hard words of this paragraph with meanings. Aim, work towards, to achieve. Aim ante lakshyamu. Inspired, motivated, ప్రేరణను కలిగించడం, స్ఫూర్తినివ్వడం. Opted, chose, సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకోవడం, ఎంచుకోవడం. Realized, అండర్స్టాండ్ క్లియర్లీ, స్పష్టంగా అర్థం చేసుకోవడం. ఏరోనాటికల్ ఇంజనీరింగ్, a branch of engineering with the design, production and maintenance of aircrafts. ఇంజనీరింగ్లో ఒక బ్రాంచ్ ఏరోనాటికల్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ అంటే అందులో ఏరోప్లేన్స్ని డిజైన్ చేయడం, తయారు చేయడం, ఉత్పత్తి చేయడం, వాటి నిర్వహణ, ఇలాంటి విషయాలు ఆ బ్రాంచ్లో ఉంటాయన్నమాట. ట్రాన్స్ఫార్మ్డ్, చేంజ్డ్ అంటే మార్పుని తీసుకురావడం. ప్యాషన్, ఎ స్ట్రాంగ్ ఫీలింగ్, అభిరుచి, తీవ్రమైన ఇష్టం. ప్రొఫెషన్, జాబ్, ఆక్యుపేషన్, పని చేయడం. అందులో మన ప్రొఫెషన్ మీన్స్ వృత్తి. కెరియర్, జాబ్, ఆక్యుపేషన్. కెరియర్ అన్న ప్రొఫెషన్ అన్న ఒకటే. కెరియర్ జీవనము. Into the details of comprehension questions. That day changed my life. What was the day mentioned here? The day when his teacher Shivasubramaniam Iyer has taken all the students to a seashore to explain the concept of how birds fly. What was the aim of Kalam? Aim of Kalam is to study the subjects related to flight and to become a pilot. Which subject did Kalam realize important to study? Physics. Where did he study his IIT? Indian Institute of Technology. Where it was? Yes, at Madras. What did he choose at IIT? That means, what was the branch that he chose for IIT? Aeronautical engineering. What is aeronautics? What is aeronautics? It is the science of flight. Now, students, coming back to the paragraph, you can see certain sentences like, I realized how important it was to study physics. Here the verb is realized. I chose physics. Here the verb is chose. I opted for aeronautical engineering. Here the verb is opted. The words like realized, chose, opted, these are the past forms. Realized, the present form of realized is realize. Realize, realized. I chose physics, chose, choose and chose. Choose is the present form and chose is the past form. I opted for aeronautical engineering. Opt, opted. All these are in past forms and all the sentences are in past tense, which give the details that these actions happened at some time in the past. Actions happened at some time in the past are said to be in past tense. So these are some grammatical points in this sentence. Hope it is clear. Let me give a gist of what we have learned in this lesson. The entry of his teacher, Shivasubramaniam Iyer, into Kalam's life at the age of 10 when he was in class 5th was the turning point in his life. The teacher once explained the concept of how birds fly in the classroom, but the students did not understand it. So the teacher took all his students to a seashore and explained the concept how birds fly clearly. And that instant was a life-changing event in the life of Kalam. Then he decided his future and studied subjects related to flight under the guidance of his teacher. The teacher helped him a lot to pursue towards his interest to study physics, and Abdul Kalam studied subjects related to flight. Later, he studied IIT in Madras and became an aeronautical engineer. Thus, his life began in that field of aviation science. Now, Abdul Kalam, the paper boy, became a pole star. He has shown a path to all the youngsters and enthusiastic students, the path to make us a successful person from a strugglesome life. Why this lesson has been introduced to 7th class students? It is not only to appreciate Kalam or to appreciate Shivasubramaniam Iyer, but also to have a path and achieve our goals. So, Abdul Kalam is a role model to us. His life is a role model. Not because he has achieved great things in his life, but he has dedicated his entire life for his country, for his people, and especially for school children. So, let us pay our sincere salute to this missile man of India, Abdul Kalam, the pride of our country. Clear? Hope you have all enjoyed this class.